welcome to the Harvey River. It's a very altered river system in that it's been channelized, so straightened, mostly because to allow for the water to flow quickly away from flood-prone areas. So over time the channel's been dug deeper and the river system itself has deepened it, because this is part of the Water Corporation gazetted drainage district, and their main function is to provide for conveyance, water conveyance. So they're not really concerned with
ecology.
Yeah, it's not their primary function. They've got to ensure that the water gets conveyed away from, you know, built up areas or farmland and stuff like that. So we had a really good chat with the Water Corporation and asked if, you know, if we could model it to show that it wouldn't cause any flooding issues, that we might be able to put some logs in the river, and so showed that by putting logs in the river system, particularly here, it wouldn't cause a flooding issue. At a certain point the water would just flow over the top of it. So the idea behind the logs, as you may know, is to create habitat, so for some of the smaller animals and the invertebrates, the macroinvertebrates, which are the food source for all the larger ones, and to create some pools and things like that for, you know, some of our native fish species, whether it be cobbler or pygmy perch. Or so people are really keen to work together to do something. And if you wanted to do something really well, like planting along the river system, as you'll notice there's a lot of Watsonia on the sides of the banks. So if you wanted to get rid of all of that, you would either have to mechanically remove it with an excavator, spray it and then mechanically remove it, and then to prevent erosion you would have to mat it, so put down jute mat or coir matting or something like that, so that it prevents the banks from falling in, and then go through and do the revegetation. Because we didn't have a whole lot of money, we thought we'd do it a bit differently. We've used the Watsonia as, we've just left it there because it's stabilising the banks, and we've planted larger tube stock in amongst the Watsonia and just to see how it goes. And then over time, eventually we hope to come back once the banks are stabilised with the trees and shrubs and spray the Watsonia. But that's the sort of long-term plan.
Is this part of the river ephemeral, or is it?
It's a good question. The Harvey River has water in it all year round. So
Well, you're getting part of the flow from the... You're getting an environmental flow from somewhere else?
Yes, so there's a couple of tributaries. You've got Logue Brook, Samson Brook's down there, but it does have a flow as well. But Logue Brook, and there is a partial flow from the diversion drain, where the Harvey River and the diversion drain meet. There's a little bit of an environmental flow. There are also other tributaries coming in, and so it does create a fair bit of, well, not a lot, but a reasonable amount during summer, so there's still water in the river system. So yeah, that's a good question. We did that because it was very sandy soil at the top and sort of clay down the bottom. We chose those because, yeah, they go really well in sand, and look at them, they're beautiful.
Aren't they?
They really are.
Magnificent.
Created a great hedge. We've got a few different ones. We've sort of planted the sandier ones up the top, so the hakeas, and then we've got the melaleucas and the eucalyptus rudis down the bottom, because they can take being underwater for an amount of time. Same with the melaleucas. They don't mind it at all. Good. So one of the reasons why we chose this spot to do a bit of re-veg on was because downstream, this is a really straight section of the channel, but downstream it becomes a more meandering system, and there's a really nice riparian canopy, so beautiful eucalyptus rudis and melaleucas, still quite degraded, like there's a lot of weeds and things like that all throughout. You've got Watsonia, but it's really hard to get on top of something like that when it's all throughout the system. So as I sort of mentioned, we were keen to see if we could work with the weeds, given the limited resources that we had, and we have planted in amongst the Watsonia, and so far they seem to be going quite well. So it has been a bit of a trial. This was planted in 2020 and it is getting there. We will probably have to do some more infill planting over time, but once the shrubs and the trees get to a certain point, then we'll start to look at controlling that Watsonia. Before we started this project, before we did anything, we wanted to see what sort of animals lived in the river system to see if it would be worthwhile to do a project. So Murdoch University, that was the other group I mentioned, I forgot to mention, they're a really key stakeholder as well, Murdoch University. Right. So they came through and they did a survey from the lower Harvey River where the Forest Highway crosses the river down in Lake Clifton. 6 sites are all throughout that extended almost to Harvey. And they found that even though the river system is degraded, it doesn't have a lot of riparian canopy in parts, it still supports 5 native species. And they were very surprised that upstream here, they found that the pygmy perch were breeding quite prolifically. And so they were quite surprised by, the condition of the river system, and the water quality also is reasonably good, given that you've got the problems with phosphorus and nitrogen. Yeah. But salinity's not an issue. It's a nice fresh system. So it supports things like freshwater mussels and all that sort of stuff, ricali. The water rat is everywhere. So it doesn't look like much, but it is actually quite special, and it's worth trying to protect. One of the recommendations out of the Murdoch University report was that given that the climate is changing and rainfall has reduced and therefore stream flow has significantly reduced, they suggested that it would be good to create deeper pools in the river system, so that over the summer period there would be places for the animals to congregate. And so the idea with the logs was to create some pools by scouring out. They've found through the studies that the logs haven't really created the deep pools that we really wanted, but they have created habitat, like the macroinvertebrate numbers have increased quite significantly. So there has been advantages and disadvantages. So we wanted to look at different pockets along the river system where we could undertake some projects, and these pockets eventually will link up over time so that the animals have somewhere to, they can go from one area to another area, over time, hopefully.
What do you mean? Do you mean dig out some deeper pools?
Yeah, so the idea with the logs was to place them across the river system. Yeah. So when the water comes over the top, it'll scour out underneath, but it'll also create a pool upstream of there. So in some instances it's worked, like there's been a bit of pooling upstream, but because it's a sandy system, I think, I don't know, you'd have to ask the scientists, it hasn't really had that nice scouring. It might initially, but it sort of settles after a little while.
Maybe there's not sufficient volume of water running through.
Could be. In winter there's a lot of flow that comes down. It's quite a massive, not as much as there used to be, but we do want to try and reduce the Watsonia in there, so we're going to spray that Watsonia.
Can you just remind me what Watsonia looks like?
Oh yes, see that?
Orange stuff.
See this? Yeah, and the really strappy stuff that's everywhere in there, that's the Watsonia. So it's from is it South Africa?
It is.
Yeah, so it grows prolifically along here, and it's been spread all the way along the river system.
I suppose.
Yeah, as it comes through.
What's the length of the stretch that's been revegetated?
Yeah, so it's probably about 1 kilometre. Mm-hmm. And some areas have worked better than others, and you always get that, as you would probably know. Some areas grow really well, and then you might have one plant next to another, and one will be dead for whatever reason, and the other one will be thriving. So, and it's the same with the patchiness of it as well. So one patch will grow really, really well, and then a patch next door might be a different soil type or whatever. It won't, or whatever. Or there might be a pest in there or something that's
something like, it looks just beautiful to me.
Yes.
Is that a radical change from how it was before you started? that view of
This,
the bank?
yeah, so the plants, we did plant the plants over the other side, so it was bare. It didn't have any vegetation at all, it was just grass and Watsonia. And,
Wow.
The cows did a really good job of keeping the weeds and everything down. Yeah, so they are really good at certain times of the year. It's not a bad idea to, once your plants are up at a certain size, to get them in to do some grazing. So this part of the river system we haven't sprayed here. We are planning on spraying this, but we're doing it at a time where the water's not pooling in the area. It's quite dry. So, but as I said, one of the other reasons why we didn't want to spray the Watsonia here was that we didn't want to put chemicals into the river system, so that's why the Watsonia is still there. It's sort of acting as a bit of a binding for the banks as well. But yeah, it is. It's a really hard. It's a really hard and very delicate balance, and that's a really good question.
Have you read the recent research on glyphosate that shows that the nervous system disorders?
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
haven't. No.
And also third generation damage it's causing in animals.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise. It doesn't surprise me with herbicides and pesticides and the amount of chemicals that we put out.
Did you see the film Little Farm, Big Farm?
I haven't seen that, but I've been told to watch it.
Yeah, and the principle that I learnt from it is whenever you've got an environmental problem, you increase the biodiversity rather than using the toxins.
Yes.
And so, you know, they had something was eating a whole lot of stuff, so they brought in some native ducks or something that ate all of those, and so it went on.
Because I've also been considering getting someone in to maybe rotary hoe it, because Watsonia's got like a little bowl. Yeah. I don't want to there are native plants scattered in and out, but it might be worthwhile just doing bulk areas with maybe a rotary. We'll see. I'm definitely, I'm of the same thinking as you. I'd prefer not to, especially near the waterways, use chemicals. And you've got frogs and all sorts of things that live here. So definitely.
Good sign.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. And to hear them in the evening as well, it's amazing.
Really?
Amazing, just to listen.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And last year we put in some constructed fish hotels in the middle of the drain there, which might have been because of the location. They haven't really shown a lot of, so not sure. We'll just see over time. But Murdoch University went through again and did a survey, and they didn't find a whole lot. So hopefully maybe over time that might change. But the river, as you go further up towards Harvey, the drain's not as deep, or the river system's not as deep, so there are quite a few concerns with flooding, which is fair enough from a water corp, because
that was the original problem. That's why they don't give the version.
Yes,
so much of this land was
so much
inundated.
water. Yes, and there was a lot of water. In fact, so much more than there is now. There was a lot of water that used to pump through, and it got flooded quite significantly. It does come up and down really quickly here, as you could probably imagine, because it's straight and it gets flooded out. So.